Welcome to the Everyday Board Gaming Podcast. This is Daniel.
And Daniel.
And you're joining us for one of our Friday Top 8 debates. Today, our topic is going to be the top 8 deck, pool, dice building games. So it could be a deck building, a dice building game, a pool building game, bag building, whatever qualifies as that. Basically, the idea is that you draw randomly from either a deck or a bag, and then you record it, or then you play it out like a hand of cards, if you will.
And then they get wiped, and you do it all over again.
Yep, that's right. And so this is going to be an interesting topic. We had a great response for this, and we're hoping that we'll still get some good response from the chat as well. But today was fantastic as far as our response for it. I only posted it, I think, 3 days ago? No, 2 days ago on Wednesday.
No, Wednesday. You put it in Wednesday.
Yeah, and we probably got over 50-something votes on just that.
Well, the top two only have 50-something votes. So.
Right. And so we'll be pulling that up here in a bit and talking about it.
So just for people to know, also, before we get started, clarification. We've made some changes. People's choice is just the tiebreaker. It doesn't count as a point anymore. It just is if the games are tied, by the time we get to the end of the debate, the people's choice will push it over the hump, I guess you could say. And this way we'll have a definitive winner.
Yeah. And so also in our Facebook, if you've seen that and you've seen where we're at on the Facebook, you'll know that there was a lot more than 8 added, and that was a mistake on my behalf, but that's okay because I'm going to talk about that right now. I think it led to some great discussion, which was really important. What that boiled down to is that in the poll options on Facebook, there's an option to either allow other members of the group to add in their own or to disable that option. Normally I disable it because what we're trying to do is we take the top 8 from Board Game Geek. We take the category and we separate the games by that category. So this was deck, bag, pool building. And we ranked it from the Board Game Geek users' ratings. And then, or not the users, the ranking on the website itself. And then we took the top 8 games that Daniel and I have both played. And it has to be a minimum of once, and that we feel comfortable debating about it. So there was a few in there that we simply just didn't include because either one of us had not played it. I think Aeon's End was like one of those.
Roll for the Galaxy was another one because you've played it, but I
played it once, yeah, and I understand.
Mystic Vale was another one.
Yeah, Mystic Vale, yeah. Well,
I've
played Mystic Vale, but I don't think it ranked high enough. Or have you played Mystic Vale?
No, we did not play Mystic Vale. We both played Mystic Vale. It didn't rank high enough, so that's right.
Gotcha, yeah. So that's a couple examples of that, and we just wanted to clarify that right away, that we're not ignoring the other ones, and we're going to talk about a few of those as honorable mentions here in a bit. But we just wanted to bring that up just in case, so that way you guys would know, if you're tuning in, why we're not including possibly your favorite game, or why they weren't included in this debate list. So, before we get started on like honorable mentions and our topic today, is there anything else that you wanted to clarify to that, Daniel?
Not necessarily. You covered it all. We will be talking about. There is a thing you're going to notice in the top 8 where we've included legendary, but we haven't included any of the legendary encounters. And the simple thing is they are different games, and so we would include them. The only problem is you've only played one legendary encounter game once and didn't even make it into the top 8, and that was Firefly. And I haven't even played Firefly. I've looked at the artwork on it. That's about it. But I have the other 2 in the box over there, and I'll talk about them later.
That's right. Yeah, so we just want to add those clarifications. Whenever we have a game like Clank, for example, we go with just the base game. Well, I mean, granted, you and I have only played the base game, I believe.
Yeah.
But
it also goes along the lines of Star Realm and Hero Realms. They're the same game, just a different theme on them. So Hero Realms would have made it into the top 8, but Star Realms was higher ranked.
That's right. Yeah, so we just wanted to include those as well. So, with that being said, let's get into our topic today. Our topic today is going to be roll and write games, or flip and write, or flip and fill, as I've heard them called, or I've heard draw and draw. Like where you draw a card and you draw it on
card and draw. Yeah.
Yeah. So we wanted to talk about a little bit about it. they seem to be having kind of a resurgence all of a sudden. Like they were already really popular, but now I think that everybody's home. I am seeing multiple posts online about people saying, "Yeah, I'm designing my first roll and write today."
And I think a big part of it too is it's another one of those games that we've talked about the last couple of weeks where they're easy to play over the internet. All you need is either a printed paper of the score sheet if someone's just one person's rolling the dice, or someone's just flipping the cards for other people and they have their own sheets that they can fill out. So I think it's just real simple in the time we have right now.
Right, definitely. And so like I made a print and play version of one of my games that I put online for people to play. And then as soon as I did that, I noticed a lot of like board game companies. This was probably like the first week of the quarantine that they were making like print and play versions. And then
Stonemeyer.
I noticed Stonemeyer releasing their roll and write thing, and he's very clear that it's like, look, this is not going to be a published thing. This is not a super big one. I think it's called like Nine Worlds or Nine Realms.
Yeah, and so you're using like different themes, I guess you could say, from his games to play it. I haven't looked into it all that much. I've seen his videos where he's talking about how to play it and stuff like that. But I haven't don't jumped into it. I've got other things that I've been wanting to play. So
Yeah, yeah, it's not bad. I have played it a few times. I played an older version, one of the original ones that he had. I know he's changed it a bit, um, and fixed a few things, but I have played it. It's not bad. I did enjoy my time playing it. It's
that's good.
definitely better than half of the roll and writes that I've ever played in my life, because most of them are fairly simple. But yeah,
Most of them are pretty much the samey in a sense. You
yeah.
roll some dice, you put some numbers. That's about it.
Right, exactly. I always like it when I can see companies do newer things with that. Like, for example, I I've been enjoying Deadly Doodles a lot lately. That's like a dungeon crawl one, which I guess they've made. It's very similar to Railroad Inc., but it's you're trying to move through like these monsters and get the appropriate weapons and bags of loot, and it has a really funny flavor to it. I really like that one, and I'm looking forward to them coming out with the new one, Deadly Doodles 2.
Nice. Now, the one I really enjoy is, and we've discussed this ad nauseum between the two of us, and I think a couple times on the stream, it's Phil Walker Harding's Silver and Gold.
Silver and Gold, yes. Yeah.
Sounds like a horrible Christmas song.
Silver and Gold. I don't even know where I'm going with that.
But it's such a good game. So simple. You flip some cards, you try to fill in some spaces, you're trying to make the shape, but if you can't or choose not to, you can mark one box off, hopefully to help you complete cards. Most points at the end of the game wins. And it's so simple. It's gone, and I think I saw a topic on, was it Board Game Revolution? I saw you comment on where someone was asking, what's the game that everybody's played that you showed that everybody now owns, and your pick was Silver and Gold, and it's true because you got it. You're like, hey, you need to check this out. We had lunch, and then I bought it that same night.
Right. Yeah, I don't even think you were planning. So you ended up buying it over at a fantastic store called Game Vault in El Paso. And
No. We didn't play the game. We had it. We played it
we
at
played
lunch.
it
That's where I bought it
Yeah,
that
I don't
night.
think you were planning on going with me to El Paso that night. Otherwise,
No.
like I think you were
Yeah.
planning on just staying home. And then so it's like, all right, well let's just play a game real quick, and we played that, and you were like, wait, you got this in El Paso? Yeah, I guess I'll go with you. Then, yep, sure enough. And then it got to the point where one of my friends, he actually went to El Paso, bought Silver and Gold from Game Vault, and they asked, like, wait, did Danny send you? Did Danny show you this game? You're from Las Vegas? Yep,
Yeah,
sure
exactly.
enough. Like, that's one of those ones. As soon as I showed people how to play it, no fewer than 3, 4, maybe 5 people have already bought it, like, after one play. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
and so it's such a good game, and it's for its price. It comes with amazing components. It's what, $20?
$20, yeah.
You get these dry erase markers in it that are really nice dry erase markers, but the cards are just they're not the basic cards because you can write on them. The card stock on it is just so good, and that's pretty much it. It's just some cards, but the components are just amazing
Yeah,
on the because the score pad is on the cards too.
right? You know what I'm thinking about doing with that is buying one of those like glasses cleaner like microfiber cloths, the one that fold really small, and
Yeah,
putting that in the insert with it, like above the
yeah.
cards.
I mean, and what I like about it is even though it gives you a lot of markers and a lot of cards, it's in a smaller box. It's not trying to be bigger than it really needs to be.
Right.
Like some games can be. Like my other flipping right that's up there, Imperial Settlers rolling right. It maybe you could have slightly made the box smaller. It's in a decent size, but what is it? The Gonshon Clever. That one's in a really, I guess you could say, bigger box. It doesn't really need to be in there. It's mainly a score pad. It's just a bunch of dice and
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think the biggest roll and write that I think I own is is it Dungeon Rush? What is the name of it? It's a roll and write game where you basically shake up dungeon dice like Boggle. And it gives you like a maze of like different monsters you go
oh yeah,
through.
yeah, yeah. I remember you showing that at the shop.
Yeah, it's really fun. I
Were
don't
you
remember the
trying
name of it
to
off the top of my head.
make a path out of there without taking too much damage?
Yeah, exactly. And it gives
Yeah,
a
yeah.
nice award to whoever can finish it first. Dungeon Academy.
Inefficiently.
Dungeon Academy by the
Dungeon
author.
Academy, yeah.
Yeah, if you do it efficiently and you get out first, then you take the first player card basically, and
Hmm.
you get more bonuses from that. You get first pick on the loot afterwards. So I like how they do that. You couldn't play that over the internet
No.
because of the delay, but I wonder, are there any other roll and writes that you think are, surprising or different? Something that does something out of the box that you've noticed.
Out of the box, not necessarily, but the one that really surprised me and made me, fall in love with like silver and gold and stuff like that. Going back into the rolling rights and the flipper rights and be like, oh wow, these are really good games. Is Welcome to. Now I don't own a copy. A buddy of ours does, and I don't know what it's about that game. It's so simple. You have three cards. You choose which one you want to use. You choose which ability it has if you want. Gotta put them in order. It's so simple. It's not really. I guess it's kind of newish. You're basically just putting numbers in a row. That's all you're doing and trying to fulfill other aspects of it. But the game itself is like anytime someone says, "Hey, you want to play this?" I'm down. I really enjoy the mess out of it, and all the extra pads that are coming out for, say, like Halloween and Christmas that add just a little twist to the game makes me want to go pick up a copy.
Yeah, that's that's been on my to-do list to definitely buy that one. There was one that came out a few years ago called Looney Quest or something like that, where you had like a plastic laminar sheet or a plastic overlay sheet, and you looked at a path that was very fluid. It wasn't like on a grid or anything, and you had to try and draw and like steal treasures to it before you overlay it. And so you had to try
Hmm.
and guess where you think those are going to be and circle spots of it, and then you overlay the plastic on top of it, and then try and see which ones you were actually accurate in getting, and how often you went off the path. It seemed like a cool concept, but I don't know if I'd call that a roll and write. It's more of a it's no more roll and write than Pictionary is. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, that I think that's a fun thing to do. Roll and writes are great topics, are a great series of games that you can play over the internet, which is why we are encouraging it. Hopefully, you got some good ideas from those, or if you're making roll and writes, hopefully you got some good ideas from that as well on what you want to focus on. So, with that being said, I think we're going to move on to the debate. Now,
Yes.
just to reiterate what the debate is, we are going to be. I don't see anybody else in the chat yet, so we haven't had any other commenters. But we are going to be talking about the top 8 roll and write games. So the number one.
No, we're not.
Not roll and write. Top 8
Deck
building,
bag, pool building.
back, bag building, pool building. Yeah, it's a little early for me.
It's been a long night, so let's just put it that way.
Right, exactly. So let's talk about our honorable mentions. There was a few games that some of us played that others didn't. Not too much crossover this time around, though.
No, not really. Just checking, making sure everything's going good on the Twitch side. Everything looks fine, so we're good.
Okay, cool. So, do you want to get started on the honorable mention?
Uh, sure. The one first one I'm going to talk about, and each of us have two games, is Legendary Encounter. Now, I mentioned it earlier. We didn't include it because I play more Legendary Encounter than I play regular Legendary. I prefer the mechanics in this one more, and it's because this one tends to give me more of that thematic feel, the tension that you get in these games. And the two I own, I only have one box over here. It's the Predator box, but I have both Alien and Predator in that box, because they can actually mix and match, where you can be the Predators hunting aliens rather than humans.
Yeah.
And the reason why I like that mechanic is because in Aliens, or Alien or Aliens in the movie, you never really see the aliens; they're hidden. And so the way the mechanic works in this one is everything comes in face down, and you have to spend resource or your attack depending on where they're at in the, I forget what it's called, but wherever they're at in that trail, you have to flip it over and find out what it is, and you're hoping it isn't an egg. This way, you don't get a face hugger attached to you. And so it's a difficult game. It's very hard, and it ramps up more players you have. I think it could hold up to 4 or 5 players. I can't remember exactly. And it ramps up, and it's difficult, but it's thematic. It's fun. I still need to get the expansion for the aliens, but yeah, that's my one of my go-to choices for deck building.
That's awesome. Yeah, my first honorable mention. I haven't actually played many encounters. I do want to clarify on that. I have played Firefly, but I've only played as a solo version, and so I heard that it loses some with that.
I don't know about the Firefly one, but I play the Legendary Encounters solo all the time, and it plays perfectly fine.
Yeah, yeah. It looks fun. I want to continue playing it for sure, but oh well, I will one of these years. All right, so my first honorable mention is Century Spice Road. And the reason why I wanted to do this as an honorable mention is because you and I both felt that yes, there is some tech build or deck building in it, but that's not really the core function of the game. But I do
No,
feel
it's more of a tableau builder or engine builder.
right, exactly, hand building or whatever.
Hmm.
And I love that game. It's amazing. And I was thinking about it. It's like, well, you are spending your resources and your money directly to buy or buy the cards that you add to your deck. And you have a very simple solution of, do I just skip my turn and take all my cards back and like, or reshuffling the deck if it was ran out. I love that idea. It's a wonderful resource management game. If we end up doing a resource based list, that's almost definitely going to be one of the top ones.
Oh yeah, me personally, I prefer the Golem edition. I do have a copy of the Golem edition over there, and to me, that's just it. And it's the same game. It's the same game. Let's not lie here. I just find it prettier and much more pleasing on the table.
Right, right. It's the same game. I don't think they ever
so
denied
I put it in this aspect. It's the Ameritrash version versus the Euro version, where you have cubes on the table. This one you actually have pretty artwork on the table.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. That's pretty spot on, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, technically they're both the Euro version, right? But one is really the Euro.
What is really the Euro version? Pastel browns and greens.
Right? All right. What is yours? What is your next honorary pick?
And my next honorary mention is, I wouldn't say it's one of the first deck builders, but it's by sure one of the older ones, as long as I can remember. But there's so many packs that come out with new packs of them every year, and that's Ascension.
Yep.
I think the first one was printed in like 20. I want to say like it was somewhere between 2014 and 2012, in that range. I don't know exactly when. But there's so many packs, so it's basically pick your poison, which one you want to do, which mechanics you want to add on to it. One of my favorites, I don't even own this one, but because of the app, has made me really fall in love with this game, is the Dawn of Champions is one I want to pick up, because it gives you champions and actually gives you something to work to and tells you, hey, maybe you want to start buying these cards because it'll help you. But Ascension was probably like the second or third deck builder I ever played. The first one I know for sure was Legendary, the first or the original Legendary, and I enjoyed it because who doesn't like Marvel? But Ascension, just something about that game just. But Ascension is something about that game just clicked for me. I really enjoyed it. Some of the older ones, the artwork is a little ugly compared to some of the newer ones. I actually have two copies in one box up there. I have the War Shadows, which is like a night and day one, and I don't even remember what the second one is, but I actually got that used, picked it up, and was like, okay, well, whatever. And it was all sleeved. I was like, okay, this is kind of cool.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's a pretty cool game, and I know it was definitely popular in the shop when I started demoing it, and I'm glad that it was that popular because it really was like the first cooperative deck builder that was really
well,
popular.
the Ascension isn't cooperative;
Oh,
it's
not
competitive.
Ascension. Yeah, Legendary was, but
Yeah,
it built off of that the Ascension
yeah, yeah,
mechanism,
yeah.
right? And it turned all the players instead of against each other or against the market row, I guess is what it would be more,
Yeah, because
and it turned it
you're either
towards it.
buying characters in the market roll or you're fighting monsters in the market roll. It's not really unlike Star Realms or Hero Realms where you're attacking the other player. You're just trying to get points by defeating monsters in the middle row.
Right,
And I think that's why it clicks for me. I'm not actively going against another player. I have a strategy. I can either win by buying high priced cards, or I can either win by defeating all the monsters and accruing attack power.
right. See, I don't know why this doesn't work as well for me. Like because I like Ascension and I've owned it before, but I ended up getting rid of it, and I can't pinpoint
I know
exactly
you gave it to
why.
me.
I gave you the smaller version, yeah,
Yeah.
and I just don't know why I don't like it as much as all the others. Now, the one that they made after that, from Upper Ultra Pro,
Shards of
Shards of
Infinity.
Infinity, I like that a lot. I think that their improvements that they did to that was awesome.
I think the big part of my love for Ascension is not only because it's one of the first ones I built and just the way it hits that style is because the app is amazing. The app plays very well. It's got a very good AI system, and it's got a decent online. I won't get into why I don't play online anymore, but it's not because something that I'm bad at it. It's just something I did to someone. It made me feel bad.
Oh, go ahead and tell us the story. Why not?
So we were playing online, and I guess there are promo cards or something like that. I have almost the complete set except for the most recent Ascension pack that got released on the app. And there's this one card where when you play it or attack it, attack it, it resets the board. So everybody gives their victory points back into the board. And at that time, I was only winning by like 10 points or so. We're getting close to the end game. This card comes out, and I had the cards and my engine just started ramping up crazy. And so I was like, okay, well, I can beat it. Did it, put the pull in, and the guy raged quit about halfway through the second, I guess, round, you could say, because I was already 100 points up.
Wow. Yeah, that poor guy. I don't blame him for quitting. That was kind of an uphill battle at that point.
Yeah.
All right.
Just because the way my cards were ramped up.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love how engine buildery it is. My next pick is it's a deck building game that at first when I saw it, I just shrugged it off. It looked like a generic space game. I wasn't too excited about it, and then rewind to like 2 years ago, probably like a year and a half or so. I was at RinCon, a board game convention in Tucson, Arizona, and I was talking to a friend of mine named John, and he said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Eminent Domain? It's made by Seth Jaffe.
Ah,
Yep, it's a deck building role selection card or game." I'm like, I mean, I've seen it. It was like, if you get a chance, buy it. And I was skeptical. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, well, how good can it be? It's a deck builder. It's the same as everything else. It's a space deck builder. I already have Star Realms. Why do I need more? And he was like, no, you don't understand. He was like, I hate deck builders. I love this game. This game's amazing. He was like, I was not even trying. I was really hesitant to play it, but because his friend Seth made it, I was like, all right, well let's give it a shot. And so I found it at Bookman's for like $20. Bought it, brought it home, played it with a friend of ours named Jim, uh, a mutual friend of ours, and oh my god, it's so good. So it's it's technically deck building, yes, but you have 5 cards to choose from. That's it.
Yeah, and
You
then
only have
depending on
5.
what you play, you're allowed to do something, and you get a little bit of bonus for it because you're the leader.
Right,
However, everybody else gets to follow you. They just may have to spin some cards that are in their hand.
right.
And if they spin those cards before their turn, they don't really get anything to play on their turn.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's similar to the Puerto Rico. Like I choose a role, everybody gets it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you
In a
choose
deck
the role
builder,
on your turn,
it's so weird too, especially because you
yeah,
expect it in something like a Euro game, like a Puerto Rico, and there's other games that do that where I choose something. What is it? The worker placement, Argent.
yeah,
Argent of the Consortium has that follow
yeah,
mechanic as well. But this one, the what it did, especially the deck builder, just hits that nice spot.
right, exactly. Like when you take that card, like I'm doing this role, and then you add that card to your deck. Like you're not
Mm.
buying anything, you're not trying to do anything special. You're just quite literally, I'm gonna try and do this. And oh man, it really does hit on all cylinders. I'm surprised nobody brought that up in our Facebook group.
Yeah,
Um,
same here. But
I'm really
to me,
surprised by that.
I think Imminent Domain flies under the radar.
Yeah,
Honestly, I won it. You actually showed it to me, and I was like, okay, this is a really good game. It's fun. You have to be efficient in it because
yeah,
this is one of those games though that you can become lost really quickly if you don't know what you're doing.
yeah,
And we talked about it during the what is it, the worker placement, where if you like Caverna, if you fall behind, it's going to take a miracle for you to catch up. And Eminent Domain's that way. That's probably why it flies under the radar, but it's such a good game.
right. Yeah, no, it's solid. It's one of the most strategic deck building games I've ever played, hands down.
Yeah, no,
We'll
I
get
don't
more into that
disagree with
later.
that. That's a great honorable mention.
Now, I don't remember. Were we sticking to 2 or 3 honorable
Two.
mentions? 2? Okay. Yeah, and then I'm going to give a.
Unless you have another one, you can more than likely.
I just want to give a quick shout out to everything Mystic Vale specifically, but anything along the card crafting universe, which goes for Custom Heroes, Eternal Darkness, all of those. Um, Mystic Vale did actually get some love. It got 3 votes on there after it was added on. And I do agree with that. And one of the commenters did actually say, it's like, wow, nobody's really saying anything about Mystic Vale. And I adore Mystic Vale. I think it's the perfect combination of Dead Man's Draw, push your luck, with deck building style like Dominion, with like the resource management of Splendor. It's so good.
Yeah.
It hits on all those cylinders. I think it's really neat, but it did take a while before it got to my play. Even though I owned it for a long time, I hadn't played it in months after I owned it. And then
So I'm
I
looking
got
at
addicted
like
to
the
it after
poll
that.
and all the stuff that they've added on here, and
Yeah, let's give a
most
quick
of
shout
this,
out.
yeah, the most of them I haven't played. We have an opportunity once everything settles that we can probably play Aeons in Legacy because a friend of ours owns it. We just have to
Right.
finish the other Legacy games that we're playing at the moment.
The other 12
Uh,
or so legacy games that we have
let's
on
see,
our
I
to-do
got
list.
four campaign games going on right now. I guess 5 if you count Time Stories, but that's kind of paused at the moment.
Right.
But like Queensdale, Risk Legacy, Gloomhaven, and Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle, I'm in the middle of.
Right. And the Choose Your Own Adventure game. Let's talk about that.
Oh yeah, and then the
That's-
Choose Your Own Adventure game too. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just quickly run down the list. We have Aeon's End, like we were talking about. Roll for the Galaxy, that had 4 votes. That was pretty popular. Yeah, it is definitely a dice building game.
The reason why, and it would have made the top 8. I've never played it. So again, based on our rules, we both have had to play it
Yeah.
for it to make it to this debate. This way, we can actually debate
Yeah.
the topic at hand.
Now, I'm not gonna lie. I played it just a few weeks ago, actually, and it was right before the quarantine hit. And I, being already a fan of Race for the Galaxy, I liked Race for the Galaxy to a degree. I did not like Roll for the Galaxy nearly as much as I thought I would. it was rather disappointing for me.
I think part of it too is you're not a big fan of dice per se.
Oh, I know, I love dice. Like
No, but you prefer card play over dice play any day of the week,
that's true. Yeah, I mean, but like, there's
and that's
plenty
why
of
you're
dice
such a huge
building
fan.
games. Like
Yeah.
the what is the one Dice Masters? I loved Dice Masters when I would play it, and
Mm,
that's a Magic Butt game. You know, it's Magic but
so,
dice building.
um,
I
what
still
is it?
have some.
But I mean, it comes to the point like, what is it? The Lewis and Clark game. Which would you rather play, the base game or the dice game?
No, I don't think that's a fair comparison. I really don't. I would rather play the board game. Yeah, but
Don't get me wrong, so
not.
would I, because the board game is amazing.
But they're
I don't
both.
know how people say the
I,
dice game replaces the board game. That board game is just so much fun.
I can see it, but they're two very different games.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. Like if, for example, like Rattle Bones. That's a perfect example of a dice building games that nobody gets the love for. Which we're going to talk about something similar to it here in a bit. But Rattle
Which
Bones,
replaced it for me. I used to own Rattlebones, and it's a
right?
decent game, but the game that we'll talk about in a little bit um, just replaced it for me, in all honesty.
Right. Hyperborea. I haven't played that. Have you?
No, I have not. You also have automobiles and trains, both AEG games. All we
Oh
need
yeah.
is planes in here somewhere.
Yep. Planes is not a deck builder or a dice
I know.
builder.
I'm just saying we
It's a
just need planes in
Montala
here.
based game,
Got
right?
trades and automobiles.
Right. Tyrants of the Underdark. Uh,
Another one here that had 2 votes. Great Western Trail, a game that I actually do want to own. I've heard really good things about it.
right. Altiplano. Oh, we skipped Clank in Space.
Again,
Um,
Clink and Space, even if it made it into the top 8, would have been eliminated because Clink, the base game, is higher rated.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then all the ones that had one vote that others added on. We had Arctic Scavengers, Ascension, Shards of Infinity, Mage Knight, Cthulhu Realms, Coffee Roaster, Dale of Merchants, Helionox, Thunderstone Quest, Dragonfire, which we both have played. It was not ranked high enough for it. Um, Clank Legacy, which I have not played. Xenoshift and
And there's
Warriors.
and there's one on here that I do want to try because I am a huge, huge coffee fan, and that's Coffee Roasters.
Coffee Roasters. Is that the single player game?
I don't know. I think that one's Java, if I remember correctly, but
Something
it
like
could be
that.
the Coffee Roasters. I get a lot of them mixed up because there's like 3 coffee games that are all interchangeable. I guess you can say little theme wise.
Right.
But I know one of them looks like it comes in a coffee tin,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's pretty
and
great.
and one of them's like a. There's one that's like a roll and write that I think is the one that comes in the coffee tin,
Oh, that's
and I'm
cool.
like, yeah, I saw Rado run through it one time. I'm like,
Sounds
yeah, I'm
good.
gonna have to buy that eventually.
Yep. That's going to be on my list. Have you played Xenoshift?
No, I've heard good things about it. I've looked into buying it. It just I couldn't pull the trigger because there's so many other games that I want to buy, and so
Right. I used to
my
own
my
it.
shelving unit is right here and a little bit over there, but that's about all I have space for.
Right. I used to own Xenoshift. I ended up getting rid of it. Um,
Well,
I
it's
don't know
it's
what it
that
was
space
about.
theme that you don't like, right?
No, it wasn't the space theme that I minded. It was a deck builder. It was pretty standard, but I think it was really relentless. I remember there being something about it where it's if you weren't on the upper hand right away, it's a long game to like lose throughout the entire time. And I might be wrong with that. It's been a number of years, but I remember it I mean the space theme didn't necessarily sell me on it either, but
Yeah.
it wasn't a huge thing for me. I didn't end
And
up enjoying it too
so
much.
another one that we should mention as well. You said it in passing was Altiplano.
Yep.
I don't remember if it was high enough to make it into the top 8, but it would have been disqualified because, in all honesty, from everything I've read, neither one of us have played it, or have you played it?
I have not.
They say it's basically a reskinning of Orleans, and I know someone who owns it, and he says pretty much the same thing. So
Yeah. Yeah, and to a degree, like if we had Clank and Space both on the list, if we had both played both of them, then we wouldn't have included them anyway.
yeah,
Altiplano, maybe. I mean, maybe. But
maybe,
we would have to
but
judge it after playing it, which we haven't.
yeah,
So that'll be on next time.
yeah.